Hello, this is WASSCE Tutoring by Terence P. And in today's video, I would like to be looking at Holozoic nutrition. The objectives for today's brief overview of nutrition, Holozoic nutrition in a nutshell, answering past questions related to nutrition or Holozoic nutrition. In this video, I intend to answer two questions that are related to nutrition or Holozoic nutrition. Let's begin by defining the term nutrition. Nutrition, simply put, is the science of food. This is a working definition that students can work with and you can use and remember as a definition of nutrition. However, on the exam, when you are defining nutrition, you would like to go a little further by saying nutrition is the science of food, the nutrients and the substances therein, the action, interaction, and the balance in relation to health and diseases. Furthermore, nutrition can be defined as the process by which food is taken in by living organisms in order to supply the nutrients required for continuous metabolic reactions going on in the body. Having defined nutrition, there's a need to define a key term on this particular slide that is termed as nutrient. Also, further in the video, I would like to define food. But there's a need that you know that the nutrients are found within the food that you consume as an organism. Nutrients are the chemical substances in food which have very specific effects on the body. The reason for which there are certain terms in the parentheses is because this slide intends to define nutrients in two ways. One definition should fit the definition of plant nutrients, and the other definition should fit the definition of animal nutrients. Defining animal nutrients, you want to define animal nutrients as the chemical substances in food which have specific effects on the body. Defining plant nutrients, you would like to define plant nutrients as the chemical substances which have specific effects on the body. Broadly, nutrients can be divided into two groups, and these are plant nutrients and animal nutrients. Now we'd like to talk about the types of nutrients. Broadly, the types of nutrients can be classified as essential nutrients and non-essential nutrients. The term essential is synonymous to important, and the term non-essential is also synonymous to non-important or not important. However, in defining essential nutrients and non-essential nutrients, you don't want to use the term important and not important. Essential nutrients can be defined as nutrients that the body needs on a daily basis. That is, these are nutrients that a person needs to intake on a daily basis, and the body is unable to synthesize these nutrients. Non-essential nutrients, on the other hand, are those nutrients that the body is able to synthesize and a person doesn't need these nutrients on a daily basis. Now let's talk about the types of plant nutrients. The types of plant nutrients can be broadly divided into the macronutrients or the macroelements and the macronutrients or the trace element. Or the trace element. Now, what are the macronutrients or the major elements? They are nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, calcium, oxygen, hydrogen, carbon, sulfur, and iron. These are the macronutrients. They are macronutrients on grounds that the plant requires these nutrients in large quantities. They are required by the plants in large quantities to ensure that the plant carry on its metabolic activities. The micronutrients or the trace elements are zinc, copper, manganese, molybdenum, cobalt, chlorine, and boron. The macronutrients or the trace elements, these are the nutrients that the plant will require in small quantities. Now, on the WASSCE exam, the WASSCE biological exam, question relating to macronutrients and the macronutrients normally appear. And you are required to distinguish the macronutrients, that is a major element, from the trace elements. There is a means that you can use to remember these. If you notice the major elements, most of them have single chemical symbol. As you can see, you have nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, with the exception of magnesium, calcium, and iron. All the other there have single or are represented by single letter. Now, for the trace elements, you'll notice that a bulk of them are represented by double letters, except boron, which is represented by single letter. You can use this particular trick to answer questions that are relating to the macronutrients and the macronutrients. If for any reason you cannot remember exactly what are the elements are the macronutrients or the trace elements, you can write down these elements and note them and be able to distinguish which ones are the macronutrients or the major element and which ones are the macronutrients or the trace elements. Now, let's move on to the types of animal nutrients. Animal nutrients similarly can be divided broadly into two groups. These are the essential nutrients and the macronutrients, also known as the non-essential nutrients. The essential nutrients for animals are the major elements that were mentioned above: carbohydrates, proteins, fats, and water. The macronutrients or the non-essential nutrients for animals are the trace elements, the vitamins, and the minerals. Now let's talk about the type of nutrition, the types of nutrition. Nutrition can be broadly divided into autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition. Autotrophic nutrition is a form of nutrition in which the organism will depend on simple organic matters to synthesize its own food. Let me repeat. Autotrophic nutrition is a form of nutrition in which the organism will depend on simple organic matters to synthesize its own food. And organisms that carry on this type of nutrition are referred to as autotrophs. Most autotrophs are plants. On the other hand, heterotrophic nutrition is a form of nutrition wherein the organism will depend solely on other organisms as source of food. Organisms that exhibit heterotrophic nutrition are referred to as heterotrophs. We can safely say that all animals, including humans, are heterotrophs. Let's talk about heterotrophic nutrition. In heterotrophic nutrition, an organism obtains food from other organisms. All animals, non-green plants like the fungi, exhibit heterotrophic nutrition. There's a need that I mentioned protozoans. Certain protozoans exhibit heterotrophic nutrition, like the paramecium and the amoeba. Types of heterotrophic nutrition. There are parasitism, saprophytism, and holozoic nutrition. In this video, I will mention a little about parasitism and saprophytism. Bulk of the attention of this video will be placed on the holozoic nutrition. Parasitism is a form of heterotrophic nutrition in which you have two organisms. The first organism in this relationship is known as the parasite, and the second organism in this relationship is known as the host. The parasite is going to live on or in a host, and the parasite will depend on the host exclusively as a source of nutrients. Parasites can be broadly divided into endoparasites, ENDO, parasite, and exo or ectoparasite, ECTO, parasites. The endoparasites, these are the parasites that will live on the body of an organism. Lice is an example of an endoparasite. Sorry, let me repeat what I just said. The endoparasite is the parasite that is going to live in. Endo means in. It's going to live in the host. Most worms are endoparasites. Ectoparasites are the parasite that is going to live on. Ecto means on. Is going to live on the host. With this, let's move on to saprophytism. Saprophytism is the form of nutrition in which a saprophyte will live on dead or decaying organic matter. An example of organism that exhibits saprophytism is the fungi. The fungi exhibit saprophytism. Mushrooms also exhibit saprophytism. These are organisms that prefer to live on dead or decaying organic matters. Let's move on to Holozoic nutrition, which is going to be our focus of today's lecture. Holozoic nutrition is a nutrition that involves complex organic substances being ingested in the body before being digested and absorbed. Examples of organisms that exhibit Holozoic nutrition are the amoeba, paramecium, or animals including human beings, and insectivorous plant. To create a concept in your mind, let's use we humans as a case study on this particular slide to explain Holozoic nutrition. Since I'm a Liberian, let's use rice as the food substance that is going to be consumed. So a Liberian person takes a spoon of rice and put that spoon of rice into his or her mouth. As soon as the spoon of rice is placed into the individual's mouth, that is a complex organic substance, that is a carbohydrate. The rice is a carbohydrate. The first thing first, there is the food has been ingested. After the injection of the food should be digested. And in humans, there are two forms of digestion. You have mechanical digestion and chemical digestion. In the mouth of the individual, both mechanical and chemical digestion will start to take place. There is a need to note that chemical digestion is characterized by the secretion of enzymes, and enzymes aid chemical digestion. The food is then pushed through the esophagus, moved to the stomach, where it is further digested through enzymatic reactions, and the food is moved onto the small intestine. In the small intestine, the food is no longer a food now, but instead it has been broken down into its constituent chemicals. As in the case of the rice, which is a carbohydrate, will now be broken down into glucose. Glucose now is absorbed by the villi in the small intestine, and the glucose will enter the blood, and the glucose in the blood will move to different cells. Glucose moving to the cell now will use the glucose. That is a process referred to as assimilation. Still along the digestive tract, there will be certain part of the rice that the individual are eating that will not be digested, and that particular part of the food need to be digested. So digestion will take place. That is, the undigested products will be excreted as feces. This is just Holozoic nutrition in a nutshell. The next slide will provide a better explanation of what Holozoic nutrition is. The steps of Holozoic nutrition. There is injection as the first step, digestion second, absorption third, assimilation, and then digestion last. In injection, like I mentioned, food is taken in. It will be into the cell if the organism is a single cellular organism, or it will be into the body if the organism is a multicellular organism, as in the case of humans. Next, the food is digested, and this is normally characterized by enzymatic reaction. The food is digested into its constituent molecules. Next, it is absorbed, that is, the simplified molecules are sucked into the organism. Then the absorbed food particles are assimilated, and then the undigested products are digested. Let's look at Holozoic nutrition in an amoeba. Firstly, the amoeba will sense the food. This is the food particle, and this is the amoeba. The amoeba will sense the food, move towards the food using its force feet, also known as pseudopodia. The pseudopodia will engulf the food, and the food will be placed in a certain structure, cellular structure referred to as the food vacuole. There's a need to note that amoeba have two types of vacuoles, and they are the food vacuole and the contractile vacuole. In Holozoic nutrition, the kind of vacuole that is used is the food vacuole. The food vacuole is responsible for the digestion of food. Next, once the food is in a full vacuum, enzymes from the cytoplasm will move into the vacuum to help break down the food particle into its constituent chemicals. The digested food particle is absorbed and then assimilated or used up, and those undigested materials within the food will be digested or expelled as waste products. Now, I want to mention terminologies used for the intake of the food and the expelling or the expulsion of the food. Let's look at this figure 2. In here, the amoeba is intaking the food using a pseudopodia. This process is known as endocytosis. And there's a specific form of endocytosis that is taking place here. And this form of endocytosis is referred to as phago, F-A-G-O, T-O, phagocytosis. Phagocytosis. Let's move on to figure 6, where the food, undigested food particles are being expelled. There's another term used to characterize this process, and this is known as exocytosis. C-Y-T-O-S-I-S. Exocytosis is a terminology used to characterize this particular process. Let's look at the structure of an amoeba. Firstly, the outline of this unicellular organism is referred to as the cell membrane. It is a part of this organism that is dividing the external environment from the internal environment of this particular organism. The cell membrane demarcates the external environment from the internal environment. The next thing we'll look at is the cytoplasm of the organism. C-Y-T-O-P-L-A-S-M. The cytoplasm of this organism. The cytoplasm in amoeba can be broadly divided into the ectoplasm and the endoplasm. As you can see here, this is, I want to outline it, this is the ectoplasm found in this organism. This is the ectoplasm. And the rest of the cytoplasm in here is now the endoplasm. There is a nucleus in this organism. There is a full vacuole and there is a contractile vacuole. The contractile vacuole is mostly related to the expulsion of excess fluid or water within the body of this organism, because these organisms are organisms that dwell in moist or watery environment. Now let's move on to answering past questions. This question was extracted from one of the WASSCE papers, and this particular question was 10 marks. There is a lot of marks that 10 marks is a lot of marks that the students can earn on the exam, and might just help to ensure that they pass the exam. The table below indicates different methods by which organisms obtain food. Place the following organisms under the headings in the table below: Hemo, mushroom; Venus, flytrap; water leaf plant, tapeworm; elephant grass, horsefly, lychee, spirogyra, rhizopus. What you are asked of here is to place the list here in the table where they actually represent the mode of nutrition. Now, Holozoic nutrition, so you have the mode of nutrition to be holozoic, parasitic, symbiotic, saprophytic, and autotrophic. You want to place human on a holozoic nutrition because human exhibit holozoic nutrition. You want to place mushroom on a saprophytic nutrition because the mushroom is a saprophyte. And you can do this, you can do what I have done there for the rest of the organism. However, the next slide provides us all of the answers that we need. Therefore, I'm going to move on to the next slide that will just provide us the answer that we need. So as you can see, human exhibit holozoic nutrition, horsefly exhibit holozoic nutrition, and the Venus flytrap exhibit holozoic nutrition. Also, there's a need that you know that the Venus flytrap, which is an animal, also exhibit. The Venus flytrap, this is a plant. It will also exhibit what is referred to as autotrophic nutrition. The Venus flytrap is a plant. It will exhibit holozoic nutrition, also will exhibit autotrophic nutrition. The tapeworm is a parasite. Lychee is a symbiotic organism. Mushroom rhizopus exhibits saprophytism. The water leaf plant is a plant, autotrophic. Elephant grass is a plant, autotrophic, and Spirogyra is also autotrophic. The next question, which of the following pairs is correctly marked? There's a need that you understand, you take note of this term correctly. Which of the following pairs is correctly matched? This is telling you that 3 of the options here are wrongly marked. So let's look at A. Saprozoic, synthesize food with chlorophyll. Saprozoic organism cannot synthesize food using chlorophyll. Organisms that can synthesize food using chlorophyll are autotrophs. So autotrophic organisms will synthesize food using chlorophyll. This option is missed marked or wrongly marked. B. Symbiotic live completely on other organisms. Organisms that live completely on other organisms are referred to as parasites. Therefore, this is also wrongly marked. Holozoic feed on other organisms. To understand this, let's look at a lion as a case study. A lion will feed on a deer. That is a holozoic form of nutrition. This is correctly matched. C is our correct answer here. Let's see D. Holophatic suck the blood of the host. Holophatic organisms will not suck the blood of the host. They are mostly autotrophic organisms. This is also wrongly marked. Therefore, making our correct answer to be C, and our student will be able to score 1 mark for such an answer. These are my references. For questions and suggestions, you can call the contacts here. Like I said, my name is Terrence P, and the channel is Terrence P. You can subscribe to the channel, like this particular video, share the video with your friends, and always hit the notification button for more videos. Thank you very much for watching.